All right, so we are here with race 8 of the first season here for SCOR, and we're going to be rolling right into Formula 3 here. I have B-Fine with me tonight on the broadcast. We're just rolling around, different people joining me in the booth, and I love it. A couple people under the weather, so always happy to get somebody in here with me so that I don't have to talk, because nobody wants to hear that.
This stream is sponsored by Mercedes for the next month until I get tampered somewhere else. At other GMs, make sure you hit me up. DMs are open.
Damn it, I'm losing a teammate.
You hate to see it, eh?
You know, it's never tampering until you're through tampering.
That's true. If I've learned one thing from the SHO recently. But regardless, it's been a good season across the board so far, I would say. A lot of strong teams, a lot of teams still trying to figure out. I know from what I'm seeing, at least in F2, for example, Ferrari is an absolute monster. It seems like they're doing pretty well on F1 too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so essentially, Ferrari up there at top of Formula 1. Formula 2, I'm trying to remember the constructors, and I'll bring those up next. Formula 3, though, we have Tess Simmer leading in points at the moment with Lady Driver in second and Mark Muller of Mercedes in third.
So that's Tess Simmer Hot Wheels, right?
I believe so.
It's either Hot Wheels or VW. Let me double check that. I'll know it when I see it.
Oh no, that's VW.
IBM, yep, VW. All right. And then Lady Driver's Hot Wheels. Okay, got it. It's I'm trying to remember. We had so many people join this past week or two.
Well, and I mean, you think about it from this perspective of it. This is race 8. We now have 60 drivers involved in this entire thing, and it's pretty crazy. Yeah. And so trying to sort through that when we're still in the first season of getting a feel of who's where, and we'll see some movement this off season too, and so we'll be right back at it trying to figure out everything as well then.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how all of the cap really affects everything. I know a lot of players a lot of drivers are on $3 million deals. Obviously, you can't be on a $3 million deal for 6 people, so it's going to be who's willing to kind of take that pay cut.
Exactly.
I mean, I know me personally, you could pay me $1 million. I don't really care. It is what it is. But there's definitely going to be the people that want 3 or potentially even more. So it's going to be about balancing the needs of who wants what and who wants to be where.
Yep.
Things like that.
And, you look at it from the perspective of the pay itself. It really is such a minimal margin of difference in TPE. 3-2-1 essentially. Or if somebody goes monster and gets, a massive contract and everybody else eats it, that's where the benefit will be. In that regard, but really I see the pay as more of a buffer for missed predictions, or if somebody's really good at predictions and they're consistent and they can find that, and those are the guys that might take a 1 million contract. So it depends on what the priorities are of the drivers essentially.
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to depend too, I think, for maybe some of the team owners of, hey, how locked in is this person? Is this someone that might go IA on me halfway through this contract? Or is this someone that I know is going to be here week in, week out, always doing their testing, always doing their presser? It's going to be a balance of how much can I kind of trust this person to stay active.
Yeah, absolutely. So the awesome part here about Formula 3 is the fact that we have 5 different winners at the moment. Formula 3, obviously, we talk about race 8 being Hungary, but Formula 3 didn't start in the beginning. It sort of grew into where it is now. And so there are, in 5 races, though, 5 different winners, which is pretty
It is impressive, for sure. It'll be interesting to see if we can get a new winner, or if we'll finally get someone that can maybe break through and separate themselves from the pack. Can Tessimmer get that second win? Can Muller get that second win? Or will it be somebody new? I was trying to remember Smith's because I know it's the Italian pun and I completely forgot it. But will he finally get it? Yeah. Will Corey be able to get it? Like, there's so many different people that could grab their first win in not only F3 but Mill League itself. So
exactly. So without further ado, here we will go over to qualifying.
All right, let's see what we got. I got to zoom in somewhat. Well, there's Toast. Toast pulling ahead.
So Formula 3, obviously one lap here in qualifying. They, for weather, for the Formula 3 race would be at 25%. Obviously, lovely starting out here in the rain for qualifying. So, but not enough to utilize that weather weather modifier though for this.
Toast absolutely destroyed the field on that one. Pretty close throughout the rest of the grid, honestly, but Toast just got such a good jump.
Yeah, seeing there at the start, you're going to have Toast taking the pole with Alexander of Maple Stroop, Ferrari, Mouse of Ferrari, and Fox of Maple Stroop. So Ferrari, Maple Stroop there.
That'll be it.
It's pretty, that's something to see. And then you have Driver, Splits Johnson, 567, and Simmer and Angelic in the VWs in 8-9 with I Go Quick in 10.
I forgot that's what Corey's name was.
Yeah. In 11th, we're going to have Pilgrim of Alpiner, Savage of the McLaren in 12th, Mueller in 13th, Mamiya in 14th, Von Salinar, Hurd, and Pablo go 15th through 17th, with his teammate Busch Light in 18th, and rounding out the back of the field is going to be Ozalez and Carlins in 19th and 20th.
I love the fact that Nash went and fully changed it from Alpine to Alpiner. It's such a good change.
I'm not surprised to see it from Face at all. No, it's not a surprise to say the least. For the race, I think obviously is the one who always gets to upgrade everybody in this sense. Seeing what Ferrari and Maple Stroop have going for the focus track, I'm not surprised to really see them taking up the first 4 slots there. I think it's going to be one of those guys in that mix that's going to walk away with this. I know Toast is probably the most talented at focus track, so we'll see how this is going to fall out.
It should be a good race.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question mark is going to be the weather. We've seen already, if that weather changes on the dime right here on the first lap, it starts jumbling up the field. So that's where we could see somebody from further down the lineup jump in and maybe steal one. But why don't we get rolling here in the 15-lap Formula 3 event?
So it looks like a mix of tire strategies.
Yeah, absolute mix of tire strategies.
It's all over the place. That's interesting. Especially interesting to see even the mix among the leaders. And also very interesting to see Alexander take the lead on hards, beating out Toast's mediums.
Yeah, Toast has just not been able to find that inside line on any of these turns, and his teammate Mouse overtakes him going to that corner.
Yeah, and Mouse being on softs, it's almost like it'd be better for Ferrari to just let Mouse through. But Mouse is also starting to take a good bit of damage, possibly more so than anyone else. Here comes Lady Driver, though, coming from the back on the softs. And with the rain coming, I'm wondering if the softs is the better move for some of these teams to get that jump before potential change to inters or wets.
Yeah, Toast can just not make it around some of these on this inside line. He keeps getting pinched down too low.
Oh, he's got in there. He goes.
There he goes.
Little bit of contact, but he got through it. Now the question is, can Alexander start holding off the driver? And there goes Driver right past. But Toast going, we got the pits going.
So that
Too much damage.
I imagine, yeah, that's going to be a damage stop there because that was much sooner planned than not. That's gonna hurt.
That's gonna hurt. So this race is at this point Lady Drivers to lose. Did a good job managing the damage climbing up the field. Apparently on softs, but if they can time it right with any potential rain, the win is theirs. Tessim coming up too, though.
Tessimmer's been just so consistent since coming into the league.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even just this race going from, what was it, P8 to P2
Yep.
already? It's very, very quick. Very impressive. Both of them likely to stop around the same time.
Toast is using that front wing.
Yeah, no kidding. Looks like it'll work to get around Savage, though. Savage on old hards, Toast on newer softs. That, makes sense. It'll be interesting to see when the leader. There it is. I was going to say, I'm waiting to see when the softs pit. So that puts Scott Pilgrim in the lead, but no stops yet. Going to have to do a tire change at some point. Toast, even with the one stop's probably going to need to stop for another pair of tires.
Yes, definitely going to have to.
It'll be interesting to see Lady Driver switching to the mediums. It'd be interesting to see if she can make those mediums last for the rest of this race.
Yeah, essentially 7 to 9 laps they should go. So
yeah, they should. Toast is probably going to have to pit again, though.
Yes. Yes, absolutely would have to.
Johnson as well. So if Driver can just wait these two out for their pit, this race is hers. But even then, she's just going to go around Johnson anyway. Toast is pulling away, but I don't think he can make these softs last.
And also noting, we haven't had any rain yet. And remember, we dialed in 25. That 25% doesn't count in qualifying. So we will see some rain here, most likely. It's just a matter of when. So
at that point, do you even bother changing your tires? You just ride out the end of it.
And here comes
Toast. There it is. And that'll give up the lead. But he will be on fresh softs trying to pass the rest of them. Only dropped down to 5th. He could still win this.
Yep, absolutely could. Hardest problem he has had is getting through this field.
Yeah, you can see him trying to struggle with Tessimmer there, but gets around. Even then, is the gap, well, and then there's a pit. So, he's up to 3rd. The question is, does he have enough for the gap that Lady Driver's formed here?
So, the biggest question everybody's talking about is speed. And
yes.
So, this race, it's one of those where I truly think that somebody finds a little bit more ground in having a little bit more acceleration and grip on this one. Because you see...
For the Hungary?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. You see some of these turns at the end of the lap that it's all about acceleration.
I mean, when you're looking at a track like Spa, when you're looking at a track like Canada, speed is absolutely going to be more important. But when you're here, when you're doing something like, I don't think Monaco's in this, but if Monaco's in this, Monaco.
Oh yeah, Monaco's in it.
Yeah, once you get there, speed isn't going to mean a damn thing. It's going to be all acceleration and what you can do on those corners. And it's really going to be kind of the same thing here. A bit more opportunity for speed, but certainly not, anything on the level of Spa.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a 2-second gap here for Driver. Well, now it's a 1-second gap. Can Driver hold out these last two laps? The tires will make it,
Ozelin's
but will it be enough?
Maybe Ozelin's gotten away.
Oh, yeah. Shawnee blocking Toast. The Timber colluding against each other. That blue flag might have cost Toast this race. It'll be close. 1.24 on the final lap here. But there's another blue flag with Pablo. But Driver got around. Couple more blue flags. Will they actually impact it, though? Toast is making the push. But not enough. Lady Driver gets the win at the Hungary. Toast in second, splits in third. That was an incredible run by Lady Driver.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
Lady Driver definitely had a race there.
That was the smartest, honestly, the smartest tire strategy. Just soft into medium, betting that the rain would either hit early or you can just swap to mediums and run it for the second half of the race. And that bet paid off. I think the biggest thing that hit Toast there was the early damage. Like, if he was able to hold off that damage a bit, he probably could have gotten that win.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that fast lap right there, and you're 0.4 of a second faster. I mean, yeah, you don't have damage. I think Toast walks in that one. But
and you can see the other leaders really struggled. I mean, Fox down in 7th, Mouse down in 9th. Alexander didn't even finish in the points. Alexander in 11th, yeah, who also had that early damage stop. So
yeah, so going through the field here, we have Driver taking their second win of the season, also second in a row, back-to-back wins here for Hot Wheels Racing. Toast is going to come in with the fastest lap in second place, also picking up an extra point, so 2 extra points there for the fast lap and for qualifying the pole. Split Samoa Adra is going to be in third, with Simmer, Pilgrim, and Johnson finish 4, 5, and 6. Fox is sandwiched in between the McLarens and for Maple Street Racing in 7th, with Savage in 8th, Mouse 9th, and Mueller in 10th.
I do want to say that was a really good run for Pilgrim, because I believe they started outside of the top 10, and to make that good of a push and finish all the way up in 5th, that's a very impressive run. I think they were 11th up to 5th. Like, +6 is going to be really, really good. Those are going to be really good points.
That was definitely a good run there for Alpiner for that car. 11th through 20th, we're going to have Alexander of Maple Stoop Racing, obviously qualifying in 4th, I believe. Yeah, it went. Yep. And so a little bit of a disappointing finish there for them. I know ran into some damage at the early onset of the race. I Go Quick, a Mercedes in 12th. Von Salinar in 13th, Angelic in 14th, Mamiya 15th, Carlin, Bushlight, Mazzola 16th, 17th, and 18th, and then Pablo and Kurd round out the field.
Overall, very entertaining race, and they dodged the rain too, which is
they did
probably for the best.
Yep, what I talked about, early on in the season is that just because it's 25% doesn't mean that it's actually going to rain. I've just never
unless you're an
F2
F2
the other way around. Exactly. Then it's definitely going to rain the entire race.
Yep. You'll love to see it.
All right. Well, I'm going to set up Formula 2 here. I don't know if you have standings pulled up or not, but I will grab those here as I'm setting them up.
If not, I can go look. I believe. Let me look here. Let me go pull the spreadsheet. So, are we talking? I guess we can do drivers. Come on, Google, please. All right, cool. So, currently in first we have Bingo. Currently staying at 112 points.
Yeah, McLaren.
Which is
that McLaren driver is just flying this year so far.
Yeah, Vanderweisen in second with 78 points. Yourself, Sile, in third with 74. We have a tie for fourth with 60 points between Alvin Wong and Popcat. Utah currently in sixth. Seventh place is Zane. Eighth, Venegas. Myself, Maldonado in ninth. Gordon Jr. in 10th. Dadley 11. Andrews 12, Albano 13, Andrews 14, Dakari 15, Toth 16, Miller 17, Ray 18, Bergen 19, and it still says Bobby 20, but I know he's on
correct
in F1 now, so I think it's probably going to be Nash at 20, but
So in saying that, yeah, it's going to be, and then flipping over to the constructors right now, Mercedes and McLaren are, I mean, honestly, we'll throw Ferrari in there in that mix as well, along with Maple Stroop. We have 4 constructors there separated by only 8 points.
Yeah, it really is anyone's race here at this point for the constructors. It's as much as Bingo is running away with it and the drivers right now, constructors is very, very close between 4 teams. And even then, I don't know if you can count out VW and Aston Martin yet.
No.
They're 20 points, they're about 25 points back off the leaders, and that's not hard to make up if you race it right.
Absolutely. All you need is a pair of podium finishes there, and you're right back in the race.
It's also going to be interesting, at the bottom between Moladra and Alpiner. You're hoping Nash turns it around just a bit to see if they can get up. But at the same time, obviously Moladra does not want to be at the bottom either.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I know for Mercedes, for our race here, or for our team, I know focus is the worst skill for my drivers, so I'm definitely going to be looking to bring up the back of the pack. And
I'm pretty sure I'm even across the board on mine. I can double check, but I thought I split mine right down the middle, so I think I've got 5 in everything.
Yep. So, but anyways, we will get on to our one lap of qualifying. Sunny conditions here for F2, which is a
ideal.
Becoming a little bit more consistent. That.
Can I say thank you for making that change, by the way? Because when you first changed it and I called that we were still gonna get a 20, then you popped the 20.
Yep.
It
was awesome.
I cried inside. I'm so done with the rain in this, man. I mean, it'll be fine now. If we can get it every 4 or 5 races, that's fine. But every other race was brutal.
I mean, the thing that worked for some of the drivers, and which why I think these teams are so mashed together here in terms of the constructors, is the fact that some drivers absolutely did luck out getting a bunch of rain on a batch of those tracks, because it basically cut everybody's skill level down on that track, and so the drivers that were in the lower end of that, they made out like bandits, especially in the first half of the season, if they weren't as strong in that track setting.
That is a good point.
But meanwhile, let's get to qualifying here.
Looks like we got Bingo once again in the lead. It's so close, though. And it's starting to get a little less close. Hey, Tapalo in second, though. I was hoping there... Oh! You got a big push there, it looks like. That's going to be Vanderbyzen across the line first.
All right, so Vanderbyzen takes the pole there with a 24.25, and Bingo there only almost 2/10 of a second off. So not too much separation there. Unlike yesterday, I know we had a little bit of gaps in the qualifying. So Bingo in second, Utah in third, which is no surprise there. Utah, he's going to be pretty good on this track.
Yes.
Seeing Nash up there in fourth is a nice sight to see after a couple of bottom of the pack finishes recently. Benegas in fifth, Dadley in sixth, Canders in seventh, and Popcat in eighth. Miller and Toth round out the top 10.
Yeah, that was a good late push there from Vanderbyzen to get the pole. I thought for sure it was just going to stick, but that was a good move. So it'll be interesting to see if they can hold it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we have Maldonado in 11th, Ray in 12th, Albano 13th, Andrews 14th, Wong, Gordon Jr., Steve 15th, 16th, 17th, Dakari in 18th, and Sile and Bergen bringing up the back of the field.
We're going to ignore that Mercedes was the only team to have 2 outside of the top 10.
Right. It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Hey, if we learned anything from last time, it's that tire strategy can get you a lot of spaces.
Look, all we know is that there's no rain plans. For all
That's
we
true.
don't know is that it could rain all race, and I'm going to be the only one starting on wets.
That's true. That's true. That's a good reference.
Let's roll here. 24 laps here with the Formula 2s.
Interesting right off the bat that the back four all running hard, so they're going to try and go long, I think, and see if they can get spots that way.
Yeah, I think the problem that they're going to have is there's just not enough speed back there to make up that
there's
ground.
really not.
They're hoping for damage and amongst other things.
And it doesn't look like they're really getting it. At least not as much, but Bingo, unsurprisingly, rocketing in front of everybody. If that isn't the scene of Formula 2, I don't know what is.
Yeah, so for
and
these
crazy
guys,
that's on mediums.
Yeah, and that's what I was exactly going to just point out. Is the fact that, Bingo's doing this on mediums. What the guys on softs need to be doing is getting up in front there, creating that space between them so that when they have to hit, they're not losing as much space here. But they can't seem to get around right now.
That's what T'Pol is trying to do, but just can't get around without taking a lot of damage. You're starting to see a lot of these cars starting to take damage, though. Maldonado's got a good chunk. Looks like Cander's. We're gonna start seeing maybe some damage pitting here just because of how. Yep, there we go. It's not Pastor Maldonado if you're not pitting for damage, to be honest. But even then, if you look at you're on Dadley. Dadley's taking a good chunk of damage, but you look at Bingo, and Bingo's got nothing.
And
Bingo is running a clean race on mediums and leading.
And that really is just the difference of starting in the mid pack to the back of the pack and starting.
No kidding.
You just have there's more room to maneuver unless if this second, third, fourth are up on you, which they were for a little bit there, but he's been able to keep that at a distance now.
And what's interesting is you look at those damage pitters, and we've got all kinds of different tires coming out. 2 took hards, 2 took mediums, 2 took softs, so it's going to be interesting too to see what's the right pit strategy for this race. We have cars already going in for, I'm assuming, non-damage pits. I think those are some of the softs. You can see, even on mediums, the gap between Bingo and Popcat's just not shrinking. There we go. I was like, I see nothing. All right. It happens.
I just wanted to make sure that Mercedes was still alive.
Not much. No. I don't know why I'm pitting again.
You're just saying you're going there for a popsicle.
I was on hards. Why did I pit twice in 8 laps? It's all a good sign. All right. Regardless, I don't think I've seen a race this dominant in a while. Yeah.
Bingo right now is just throwing the hammer down. And the thing is that those tires are going to last even longer too. So this lead's going to continue to grow.
Which is incredible. I mean, it looks like eventually they're going to have to pit. Somebody's going to have to pit here. When, I don't know, but I'm curious to see how long they can make these mediums last. Or do you just go and pit for softs and then just run those from there? Because clearly they can pass anyone they want. Why not just do it on softs?
I mean, if he can make it 2 more laps, make it to the end of
and then he's golden, yeah.
He could probably just switch to either mediums or hard and make it the rest of the way.
Well, yeah, because we don't. I never even really paid attention, but I guess that we don't have the rule that F1 does, where actual F1, where you have to use 2 different tire compounds, right?
Yep.
All right. So then, yeah, you just make the lap 12, switch to mediums, and went. Well, they're in the pit now, and they stuck with mediums. So can they make those mediums last 14 laps?
They should be able to make them last. It's just a matter of how much speed are they going to carry at the end of the lap.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just a matter of can Popcat take advantage of that. Because Popcat seems to be the one that's going to be able to challenge this. And Popcat's kept. Give him credit. Popcat's catching. But you can see, even on the mediums, Bingo's about as fast as Popcat on softs.
Yeah, Bingo right now is just in a different little mindset of just being able to fly around this track, finding another line.
It's really incredible to watch. Here we go. Looks like the Apollo trying to get around Canders. I know we haven't really talked about him a lot, but Venegas is holding that third spot down pretty well right now. One stopped on mediums. There's a bit of a gap, obviously, between them and Popcat, but Tapala's not pushing Venegas too much either, so that could be a really solid podium for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, you look right here, and you have Alpiners in 4th and 5th.
Yeah. I mean, Dadley obviously putting up a little bit there to see if they can break up that, but this would be a huge. I know we talked about it right before the race about trying to get out of the basement, and this would be a huge push to get them out of that basement. If they can hold 4 and 6, that's a lot of points.
That is, and Topalo right now with the fast lap of the race as well. So.
Meanwhile, I mean, Vanderbyzen, who I know started on pole, currently in 10th with 3 pits. I think damage has really been the killer for Vanderbyzen.
Yes. Yep.
It's unfortunate, but obviously it is part of SCOR F1, as we've all seen. I'm pretty sure I pit 5 times in Singapore, so I understand. But Bingo just continuing to push that lead on Popcat. I mean, it's at 2.3. Popcat was within 1 for a while there, but well, they're up, and there it goes. So what is Popcat? Popcat's staying on softs. So, I mean, if they're getting 8 laps, yeah, they'll make it. The question now is, can Bingo make it on these mediums? I'm worried it'll be close. It might even be worth it for Bingo to go in and swap to softs in the next couple laps here. Stay fresh ahead of Popcat. Right now, that's Tapalo in 2nd and Dadley in 3rd. But Dadley about to get passed by Popcat for 3rd there. And I'm pretty sure Popcat's not going to have much problem getting around Tapalo either. Yep, there we go.
Dependent here on how quickly Popcat can work through these back markers here, it's going to be dependent on what Bingo's going to be able to do.
And it's just crazy. As good of a race as Popcat is running here, it's still even a whole other level from what Bingo's able to do. It's really incredible to watch. But Popcat is just shredding these back markers. I, for one, am ready for 7 to just absolutely destroy me here in a second.
Oh, and we have Bingo's tires must be falling off here.
It's the gap is closing. Bingo needs to pit. I know it's tough, but like they need to pit. If they don't pit, I think they lose this. Because Popcat is there. And Popcat is faster. And there goes Popcat.
Popcat is gone.
But Bingo push him back. We're going to have a shootout here. Now it's going to be, can they maintain the damage too? Because neither of them are in danger, but if they bang a little too much, Bingo might have to pit. Bingo's going to stick with it though. I don't think you can pit at this point. Yeah.
At this point, I think he's staying out. I mean, if we were...
And I think that might cost him.
Yes, I think it would too. Canders, is up to 3rd.
Yeah, that's a good push by Canders. they got a bigger gap on Venegas than I expected. Now, Venegas is on soft, so it's going to be a question of can they hold that gap. But right now, Popcat is clearing this field. I think the double medium's just not enough to hold on to the end there for Bingo. I'm just curious to see if Canders can hold off Venegas here.
I'm actually curious if Canders can track down Bingo.
That's a good point. Because those are fresher mediums on Canders. And I think you might be onto something. We're on the final lap. Popcat is well clear. But this is a tough race here for second. And Canders does it. Holds the move. Got across the line. Second place Canders, third place Bingo. What a race there from Popcat when Bingo dominating, 75% of that race, but the mediums just couldn't hold out at the end of the day. And Popcat just 3 soft stints was more than enough to get him the win. Yeah, meanwhile, what we said about Mercedes,
I mean,
we tried.
I'm in my
We
own
tried.
world right now.
Oh, God. But this is definitely a race that's going to have those constructor point implications.
All right, so Popcat pulling away with the win there. Even though, as you mentioned, 75, probably 80% of that race there was Bingo just walking away with it and just couldn't, if we had control of when the pits were called, obviously Bingo goes in the lap after Popcat does to match him on tires.
Yes.
We don't have that ability, though, unfortunately. So seeing him take third obviously is going to be a bummer for McLaren, who was hoping to snag a win there. But Canders up there in second for Aston Martin. That's going to be an awesome. That garage is going to love that. Dadley, Venegas go fourth, fifth. Tapalo and Andrews go 6-7 for Alpine, so picking up points along with Tapalo's fast lap of the race down there in sixth. Vanderbijzen in the 8th, and Utah and Toth round out the top 10.
We were talking early about how the top four teams, Maple Stroop, McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari, were really fighting for that, fighting for the top 2, and I really think Ferrari and McLaren are kind of stepping up a bit. Obviously, Bergen with a bit of a tough race. So and obviously same with Steve. So 3 of those 4 teams are able to come away with points, but that was a really good showing. I really think for Ferrari and McLaren, because I think down the line, if they can hold this momentum, those 2 may be able to separate from McLaren and from Mercedes and Maple Stroop.
Yeah, yep, I agree. 11th to 20th, we have Ray of VW finishing just outside of the points, and Gordon, the teammates of Hot Wheels Racing, Gordon Jr. and Miller, 12th and 13th. Maldonado, the first Mercedes vehicle, is in 14th. Albano, Takari, Juan go 15th, 16th, 17th, with Steve in 18th for Ferrari. Bergen and Sayo rounding out the back of the pack there. It's going to be interesting to see how the points play out there. Obviously, Bingo's definitely going to be keeping the lead, but you look at when it's over at the constructors, as you were just talking about, Steve, Bergen, Sayo aren't getting any points today. Neither is Mercedes in its entirety for the race. So you'll see them fall off a little bit, but we'll definitely see how those points play out later this evening.
I do want to talk about how good of a race that was for Alpine. I mean, we were saying they were at the bottom, and now there's no shot. I know, Moladra got 1 in the top 10, but Toth in 10th, so they'll come away with 1. But a 6-7 with the fastest lap for Alpine, that is huge to get them off the table.
Yeah, and just to get some momentum going, if anything. So nice to see some fresh faces up there.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to take a couple minutes here, get F1 set up, pull up the standings for that, and I will be back in a minute. All right, so we are back here for some Formula One racing. Our feature event, 34 laps, 2 laps of qualifying. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how this race goes. Obviously, Ferrari, you know, just has set a fire pace to start this season. I know we talked about it a lot last race, but they're almost up to a 100-point lead here now in constructors. So they right now are just walking away. But we're going to be stepping into a couple different skill levels that aren't maybe their strongest. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them lose a little bit of ground here. But Hennessy there has just been so, Hennessy and Brooks both have just been so dominant this season.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's been the Ferrari show for the first half, or first however long here so far. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone's able to make that up. I mean, obviously tied for third right now, you have Selleck and Chicken. So it'll be interesting to see if the McLaren driver or the Maple Stoop driver are able to maybe make that push and see if they can maybe knock one of the two Ferrari drivers out of the 1-2.
Yep, absolutely. So I think we're going to get rolling right over to qualifying and keep this moving along for everybody. So here we go. So as we talk about every qualifying, the second lap, well, and for the first lap, that matters. Time starts when you cross the line. So it's interesting to see how some of the drivers here utilize this first lap to charge the DRS or to let it go. So Brooks
and
right
much
now,
like but Bass pulled a push there, but Brooks. I mean, we were talking about how strong the Ferrari is, and apparently that might not change too much, at least off this qualifying.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, but never mind. That's Destruke in first. Destruke of Hot Wheels in first, and then Paul Hood from Aston Martin in second.
Yeah.
I thought Brooks had it.
Yep. So Destruct gonna start on the pole there for this race in Hungary. Just fresh off of a second place finish there in Brazil. So back to back strong. Maybe follow this up with a nice strong showing there. Work on that consistency a little bit. Paul Hood there in second with Brooks of Ferrari in third. Selleck in fourth. Bass in fifth, Bobby sixth of Mercedes, seventh is Raikkonen, and eighth is your points leader Hennessy, with De La Torre and Jobin rounding out the top 10. In 11th, we are going to have Burkhart, Strategy in 12th, Devil 13th, with Ree, Carvalho, and Chicken going 14th, 15th, and 16th. Pierre Hood in 17th, Shettle in 18th, Carpentier and Lewis rounding out the back of the pack. So obviously the storyline here is going to be seeing if Hennessy can make up a little bit of ground here. Consistency has been his key, even though last race he finished 5th at Brazil. So breaking sort of that back-to-back second place finishes there a little bit. So we'll see if he can run up. Also looking at Alpine with Jobin qualifying 10th. See if he can pull off a couple more slots and slide up that leader.
See, I was looking at Selleck here. I know that was one of the ones we called out. Currently, in, I believe, 3rd place. They've got P4 here right next to Brooks. So if they can get a good jump, that will be huge to getting them to break up potentially those 2 Ferraris. Especially now that they're next to Brooks. If they can maybe knock Brooks around a bit, get him knocked down the grid a bit, then that could be huge to close that gap between 3 and 2.
Absolutely. And, the name of the game for Formula 3 and Formula 2 really was maintaining the damage. It's going to be interesting to see right away how people can avoid that, who gets in trouble, and we're going to see entering the pits early and shuffle sort of down that leaderboard.
Should be a good race.
All right. We will get rolling here.
And again, very interesting on the tires. Only 3 cars on mediums, which, I mean, we did just see the mediums kind of fall off towards the end, so... But the Strook starting P1 on hards and immediately having to fend off Brooks was on softs.
That move from Raikkonen on hards, going to
that
the
was
side around
beautiful.
That corner, picked off 4 drivers.
A beautiful move, and you can look, Hood's damage was already high. Hood starting in 3rd, already, or starting in 2nd even, and already having to pit, that hurts. Tough.
Yep.
Bobby not looking really great either. So some cars really came out at first lap not looking great. Right now it's Brooks in the lead on softs. Destruc and Raikkonen, as good of the moves as they pulled early, those hards are just struggling to keep up with the softs, which naturally, yes, but it's very apparent.
Yeah, and you just saw our points leader there, heading to the pits with some damage.
Yeah, we've already had 4 cars pit for damage. Chicken, Allhood, Hennessy, and Bobby. So, very tough for, I think, 2 cars that were, or 3 cars even that were top 10, already having to pit. And that's also really, really bad for Selleck. That's 4 of the top 10 pitting in the first 3 laps because of damage. And meanwhile, Brooks, even on Bastu was running well in qualifying on softs, and it's still like a whole straight behind Brooks. Brooks so far, kind of doing what, the McLaren was doing in F2 with a big early lead. Difference is this is a all soft strategy. Versus the medium strategy, and we saw the all-softs work out for Popcat, so has Ferrari learned from F2 what to do in F1? I know that's not how it works, but in my mind it's going to be how it works.
We're going to tell ourselves that. Yes.
Can the Ferrari strategy actually work for once?
And Selleck must have ran into some damage once again and is
went
in for a second time.
It's a very unfortunate race for Selleck. I mean, we're seeing a lot of cars that have already pit. I don't think any of those have been for the tires because those softs aren't running out in 5-6 laps. So a lot of damage on Hungary. Especially, I don't think F2 and F3 had this much of a problem with damage. So F1 they're going aggressive on it. But I mean, I guess you could even see it there with Selleck's run, like the way he was just slammed down the straight to the car coming out of the pit.
And that comes down to that logic of staying out of the back of the field, because the problem there becomes is Selleck has a higher skill. He's going to be faster. And so when he's coming up on those other cars, there's nowhere for him to go. And so he's going to run into damage and just create more issues for himself. So I think as the field spreads out, drivers like him are going to be able to work their way through. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think we're going to see Brooks pit here because the softs were clearly falling off. Raikkonen was gaining too much ground. But switching to hards is very interesting. It's a longer race, so I don't think you could obviously just run all softs.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's going to go something soft, hard, soft for Brooks. Raikkonen and Destruc, going to be interesting to see what they do and how long these hards last. But Raikkonen clearing a good bit of time on Destruc, which is interesting considering Destruc was the one that started on pole. But that's a really good push from Raikkonen here. And Brooks on the fresh hards running down Destruc. Be interesting to see how clean of a pass they can make. That's real. Oh, there it goes. I was gonna say
it's that turn right there that does. Whoever can set up that turn.
Which, for anyone that's played like any of the F1 games, that is the turn with the high banking on the inside, where if you touch it, you're just auto spinning. So that makes sense. But you can see here, we're getting a good chunk of damage on Raikkonen. So if they're not careful with all these back markers and the fact that they just got passed by Brooks,
I think
you might be seeing
Raikkonen's going to be in here. You can see some smoke now.
You can see the smoke. Yeah, Raikkonen's pitting here. The question is that going to be when they wanted to pit, or do they want to ride those hards a little bit longer? But yeah, there is Raikkonen, which means this gap between Brooks and Destruc is just, I mean, we're looking at a 4-second gap right now that's just growing. I think these hards are just... I think their lap time is really, you're looking 11, 12 laps on the hards, which feels wrong, but like, and you're just seeing how this gap's growing between Brooks and Destruc. Raikkonen's already gotten the pass on mediums, so I think the hards are just really, really tough to run long here.
Let's take a look through the field here, seeing as we have a pretty large gap between Brooks and Raikkonen.
Now, what's interesting is Carvalho and Carpentier have yet to pit. They've run the hard since the start. So, they're doing to manage them that, you know, maybe Destruc couldn't manage as well. Yeah. Well, I guess they're also kind of getting passed, so maybe don't actually listen to me that well on that. Carpentier did go into pit and switch to another pair of hards. I would expect Carvalho to pit this lap. But that's still putting a lot of cars on multiple pits here before Carvalho even goes in for one. So they did a good job nursing those hards. Are they staying out? No, they went in. Okay. I would have been shocked if they stayed out at this point. So that's 15 laps on those hards, and they went for another pair of hards. So I wonder if they're even going to try and two-stop it, which might be a mistake, but... I'm going to say, we're seeing some close racing towards the back here. That's like, oh man, just 5 cars stacked on top of each other.
Just pinball, and then you have Raikkonen in second trying to make their way through that mess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can just see poor Paul Hood on that, just taking the worst of it. Just a really tough race damage-wise for Paul.
Selleck just applying the bump and run method almost every other corner.
I mean, you know what though?
It works.
Both Selleck and Hennessy, 3 stops so far. They're on softs, and they're just outside the points. So depending on how much they can keep pushing some softs, they might be able to make this up. You got 3 cars going into the pits, including Raikkonen. Raikkonen switching over to softs. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm curious when Brooks is going to pit, because as big as that gap is on Raikkonen right now, eventually they're going to have to pit, and those hards are going to probably start falling off sooner rather than later. So for Raikkonen, Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to say, yeah, you're looking at almost a 10-second gap right now.
Which I think is the biggest we've seen in any race today.
Yeah.
Even as dominant as the McLaren was in F2, it's nothing on this. We were talking about before the race about how absolutely dominant Ferrari's been in F1, and
Brooks has
I don't think that's changing.
No.
They've been dominant. I mean, F3, F2, F1. I mean, they won F2. They got second in F3, I think, with Toast.
Yep.
Third right now, yeah. A pretty big lead. So Ferrari at Hungary, really, really good top to bottom as an organization. But Raikkonen's starting to make that time up. I mean, they cut the gap almost in half already. Granted, yes, on faster tires, but like Brooks is going to have to pit. So what are you going to do? And if you're Ferrari, what kind of tires do you put on? Do you go in now and put on mediums to run until the end, or do you wait a little bit?
Well,
put on softs. There we go.
I'm up there now.
And switching to softs. Okay, so can they make these softs last?
This is where I could see, you know, with Brooks, he's going to have to get through some lap traffic here.
Yep.
And he's run an amazing race, which we just saw. But now you might be facing some risk of damage going through some of this field.
Yes. Now, at the same time, Raikkonen's not making these tires last until the end. Raikkonen's going to have to go in.
Yeah, both will on these softs.
That's true. It'll be interesting because if Brooks tries to push it, the tires are just going to fall apart. But you can see Brooks is carving up this lap traffic pretty well. Raikkonen's sitting on more damage than Brooks right now. Granted, they've been out longer, but Brooks about to make easy work of Raikkonen there.
Yep. Just shoot him up.
At this point, Raikkonen should just go in, reload, get your fresh softs for the end of the race, and then push as hard as you can. Catch up for Brooks' final pit stop. And I think even with the damage they've taken on, I might expect, well, and they stayed out. I thought for sure they were pitting that lap.
Yeah, both these guys will come in for one more. It's just a matter of when they do is the question.
Meanwhile, we've still got a lot. We've got 2 cars, actually 3 cars. They're still on the strategy of double hards with Carpentier, Carvalho, and Destruc. And I mean, Destruc and Carvalho are 3-4, although I think Carvalho did just... No, Carvalho didn't pit. Just got passed by 2 cars, though. So, note to self, Destruc in the pits now, so the double hards did not work maybe as intended. The hards really have struggled this whole race, or this whole weekend. This has been a track where the soft tires are definitely the king.
Especially around this last section.
Oh, absolutely. And there goes Carvalho. And there goes Carpentier. Yeah, so they went for the 3 stop, and it just didn't work. De La Torre at 5 stops. I just noticed that.
Gotta imagine some damage there.
I would think so. So, Raikkonen currently about 10 seconds back. The question's going to be, when does Brooks do the final stop here? It's got to happen sooner rather than later. And there it is. Should be one more pair of softs. What's the gap going to look like? A pretty good gap still.
Yeah, I think this one now is basically Brooks.
It should be over.
You got 4 lap cars. Even if they pull off, Brooks is running on fresher tires.
Yeah, it's really Brooks' race to lose at this point. Raikkonen running a very good race. Like, all the credit in the world to Raikkonen, but just couldn't keep up with the absolute monster that Brooks was for this entire race. It'll be interesting now to see. So, Chicken's currently in third on mediums. Destruc on softs behind. It's a pretty decent sized gap, but like, can the softs make that up? And even then, it might be too much because Destruc also fighting with Carvalho. Those two just might slow each other down to the point where Chicken can just grab third. And I know Chicken was also one of the drivers we were talking about along with Selleck that have that opportunity to maybe start messing with the Ferraris.
Yeah.
Granted, you know, Brooks is about to win this, so that kind of nullifies it a bit. But Hennessy, 18th, not going to finish in the points.
No,
so for Chicken,
one of the surprises of the race.
Absolutely. That early damage just really knocked him out.
Yep.
I mean, he's on 5 stops. De La Torre's on 6. Like, some of these cars just couldn't get past the damage. But for Chicken, I mean, a third place finish here is going to be huge for the points. So a really, really, really good job for him.
And Brooks also taking fast lap the last lap with the 24:02. So
just an absolute monster of a race for Brooks. Like, as good as the wins for Lady Driver and Popcat were, they were not nearly as dominant start to finish as Brooks was. Just a truly incredible run.
And that is going to be Brooks' win, which will be his second of the year.
Raikkonen in 2. Should be Chicken in 3. Although Carvalho making that pass at the end. We got a race. Carvalho down the stretch. Wow. By 0.1 over Chicken. Chicken, I am so sorry for jinxing you. I thought you had that one. That is on me. I fully apologize. I spent so much time talking about the podium. The commentator's curse once again striking. You hate to see it. But
all right, so Formula One tonight. We have Brooks winning. Like I said, second win of the year. Also going to pick up that bonus point for the fastest lap at the 24:02. Raikkonen of McLaren finishing second, with Carvalho and Chicken going 3 and 4. Hot Wheels coming in at 5th and 6th, which is awesome to see them following up after the last race as well. Bass finishes in 7th, Strategy 8th, and we have the Alpiners in 9th and 10th. I mean, today is definitely a day for them to be proud of. Just getting some points and getting that momentum going, getting back on track.
And that's a great run for the Hot Wheels too. Obviously a little disappointing for Destruc to go from 1 to 5, but I think Carpentier started in like 17th and then finished in 5th.
Yeah.
So
awesome there was a
great run.
Today probably was there if you look past Brooks' domination of the race.
It'd be, or even the race that Raikkonen ran too.
Yeah. We're gonna have Ree in 11th, De La Torre in 12th, Shuttle in 13th, Selleck in 14th, Burkhardt in 15th. Pierre Hood in 16th, Hennessy, our points leader, in 17th, Bobby in 18th, and Paul Hood, who I believe started 3rd in the race, in 19th, and Lewis in 20th.
Yeah, tough day for Aston Martin, but nothing they can't bounce back from. But Hot Wheels and Alpine are obviously a huge day there. And then kind of what happened in F2 happening a bit in F1, the McLaren really trying to challenge the Ferrari. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe a little less clear than in F2, but can anyone challenge this Ferrari for the lead?
Yeah, I mean, that gap is going to be hard to overcome, but we saw Hennessy struggle today. Definitely ran into some damage, dropped to the rear. Really couldn't pull himself out of there. It seemed like every time he would try and whittle his way towards that top 10, he ended up just having to go back to the pits to recover some more damage. So rough day for him. Still a win for Ferrari's a win, and I think they'll take that.
It's one of the classics of you get so used to racing in the front that you kind of forget how to go wheel to wheel with a bunch of other cars. So
Exactly.
maybe is that the key to beating Ferrari? Is you just gotta make sure you out qualify them and kind of let them defeat themselves with damage. I mean, obviously it's a tough ask with how fast that Ferrari is to out qualify them, but is that the move that maybe these other 9 teams need to try and figure out?
Yep, exactly. Well, for the night, we are off now, I believe, until Friday. And I'm trying to remember where we are at. And that is going to be Australia. So
should be a good one.
definitely will be a good race. Excited for that. Excited to get back to racing on Friday to finish out the week. Meanwhile, thanks again, B5, for joining in the booth tonight. Always a big help having somebody.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for everybody for tuning in. But for myself, Wally, and B5, we wish you good night.